Look at a little kid when you high five them and say, hey, that was awesome. Like, look at the glow and the smile. It's instant. It doesn't even take 5 seconds to see the difference. You can see it right away.
High five your kids, win or lose in a sports game. High five them when they get in after school.
Smart Money Parenting.
All right, folks, welcome back to Smart Money Parenting. We got a great topic for you today. And Chad and I are fun guys, I'd like to say.
Oh, yeah.
We go on trips. We celebrate things. We have a good time with our families, not just because of money, but because of memories. And the lesson we want to talk to you guys about today, this is another topic I got from the Green family, the most generous family in America. And it was this quote: until further notice, celebrate everything. And at first glance, it's like shocking in your mind. But then you think about it, it's like, what are the best memories of your family over the last 2 decades, right, Chad?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, Scott, is like the number one thing that I love to do, and maybe it's because like growing up being an athlete and being on so many sports teams, is give high fives. Like, why do I love giving high fives? You know what I mean? Like, I love giving knuckles or high fives or whatever. Even little kids, I saw some kids kind of running around doing their little laps around the school when I was waiting to pick up my kids. I reached out the window, I'm like, let's go. And all the kids now started like high-fiving my arm as I was sticking it out. And they were just like so pumped after that. And I was pumped, and I was just by myself, just waiting for my kids to get out of school. But it's like, I think this is a great concept. Celebrate. You can boost a lot of morale by celebrating and having a positive enthusiasm, right? I mean, what does that quote mean to you, Scott?
The best way to a confident kid, celebrate them. Like, the best marriage advice I ever got is praise the good in your spouse at as much as humanly possible, and then leave the rest to God. Like, no marriage has ever moved a half step forward when people are nitpicking and like fighting and having like negative conflict. Yes, if there's an issue, you can have it in like a loving environment, like a really good critical conversation. But what the best advice I ever got was praise the good, leave the rest to God.
Interesting.
Like, God's going to change people. Like, the world will help, like experiences and like being around the right people, having the right community, like that will help people grow. If you can love and support them. I saw this with my grandma, dude. Lord rest her soul. Grandma Joyce. She died at 89 a couple years ago. She was the biggest cheerleader of the entire family. She had the reputation of thousands of people. She was the biggest cheerleader I've ever seen. She literally like floated through life. She was my biggest support growing up. Like, she would tell everybody about us. We would always celebrate with grandma. I mean, it was unbelievable, like the level of confidence, like the way I saw the world because of grandma.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Mental health issues, gone. It's like, celebrate people, celebrate the good in them, and like just lift your kids up. Like, I've seen our best memories are celebrating our kids, doing something fun with them, doing like a surprise cool thing with them. It doesn't have to be something where you spoil them or give them a bunch of crazy things. Go play a surprise fun game, celebrate them. Doesn't matter. It can be the littlest thing. It could be a good grade on a test. It could be a winning a sports thing. It could be losing a sports thing, but having the best attitude. There's always ways to celebrate.
And Scott, I'm gonna go back to this high fiving, because Mel Robbins, I don't know if you've heard this, but I think she wrote a book, but she talks about the biggest confidence building habit. She says, high fiving yourself. She said, you get an instant drip of dopamine, the chemical that helps elevate the mood. You get a jolt of energy because of the nervous system is hardwired to associate high fives with celebratory energy. So it's like energy that celebrates. Here's another quote. The high five is an instantaneous way of celebrating a person and telling them that they're important and they deserve personal attention. The high five expresses gratitude. Research shows that people who express gratitude have much higher positive emotions and well-being. In other words, it's healthy to count your blessings and celebrate. So if you're thinking like, well, what does this even mean, celebrate everything? I think a simple thing that we could do is like 10x the number of high fives we're giving out. high-fiving strangers, high-fiving random people, high-fiving our kids. Like the celebratory feeling of that energy is a boost.
So good.
Like I was at a Lakers game, playoff game a couple of weeks ago, and we made an incredible run. And we came back and took the lead, and it was close towards the end of the game. And I just started like high-fiving everyone in our area. It was like this guy's holding his beer and he's just like looking at me. He's like, yeah, high five. And it's like, I think if you create that positive enthusiasm, though, like you said, Scott, and your family, find things to celebrate effort. Don't just celebrate results. Like it's not just about winning and losing or getting the award. It's like find ways to celebrate so that you have a culture of celebration and support and gratitude and enthusiasm and connectedness.
Yes.
Like NBA teams did a study where the more touches, the higher the team chemistry, the higher the winning. It's crazy. Like they measure the number of touches in a game. How many times did the family or the players, like pat each other, high five each other, knuckles, whatever it is, put their arm on the shoulder. It's a very interesting study. If you look that up, it's about the NBA basketball league and how many touches there are. So I like this idea, celebrate everything.
Yeah. And I don't think you're not giving false confidence.
No,
okay?
not at all.
It's not a spoiling or entitling of your kids. Celebrating your kids bolsters self-esteem. It bolsters mental health. It bolsters like value and so like their ability to take on the world. You want that in your kids, like versus the opposite, which is like a negative.
Criticizing or bugging them or bringing them down.
It's like you can only have one or the other. So choose to celebrate. And this is what Dan Sullivan, our mentor, talks about in The Gap in the Game. You focus on the wins. Focus on the positives, focus on where you've come and how far you've come.
Yeah. Look backwards and celebrate the progress. So one of my sons has had straight A's. He's in 7th grade. He's at a much harder school and he got like a 3.35 and it's a harder school. It's way harder than what he's used to. And he's with a bunch of older kids. And my first instinct when I saw his report card was like, what the heck? Like, how did he get a C+ and a B- like that? He never does that. And then I was like, you know what? He worked really hard this semester. So like, I'm just going to go tell him, hey man, it's all right. Like, this is not going to determine your future. You did a great job. You worked hard. And it's like, we got to celebrate the progress and recognize what's going to boost people to succeed in the future.
Yeah. When in doubt, celebrate until further notice. On the other side of things, my older sister, Kelsey, I don't talk about her much on the show, but I should, because she's taught me more about love and other people. She has spina bifida. So she was born with a hole in her spine the size of a quarter, and it affected her brain fluid and her shunt. She had a dozen life or death surgeries growing up. I spent a lot of my childhood in like Ronald McDonald houses. And when you have someone like that in your family, celebrating the little stuff is everything.
Sure.
It becomes everything. We would literally celebrate her being able to like walk with crutches. We would celebrate her being able to like remember someone's phone number. Like we celebrate the little stuff.
The basics,
man. And that's how you get through it. My friend, Tim Tebow, who Tim is like the way I had initially heard of Tim, and now we're helping on a lot of the other stuff with trafficking and whatnot, but he does this Night to Shine.
Yep.
In like 70 countries now. And they started these like prom nights for kids, students with special needs. And it is the coolest celebration I've ever seen. Like it is so fun. The joy on their faces, like our family's been a part of this. And man, I've got to tell you, when you celebrate the little stuff, when you celebrate people, everything changes. Their countenance changes.
The countenance. I was going to say that. Look at a little kid when you high five them and say, hey, that was awesome. Like look at the glow and the smile. It's instant. It doesn't even take 5 seconds to see the difference. You can see it right away.
Yep. High five your kids, win or lose in a sports game. High five them when they get in after school. High five. Like that's a great idea. 10 high fives today. That's my goal.
Yeah, there you go. Like if we increase the high fives, and Mel Robbins actually says in her new book, and she's got a lot of great videos on this, is like she wakes up with a 2-second routine. She looks in the mirror. She talks about her self positively and she high fives herself. And she says, it's like, we don't think about it, but it creates such a rush of enthusiasm and positive gratitude that it does make a difference. And so high fives and obviously hugs, these are your kids, but like, let's increase the enthusiasm and the celebration or all the little good things that we can celebrate. Why not?
You want to hear the most fun night of my life?
Let's hear it.
All right. So we're in Turkey. Okay.
Oh, wow.
In Cappadocia in 2008. And I was there on like a study trip with family and a bunch of friends. And we were touring all across like these ancient ruins and learning about, where Jesus was and all these really cool places. Well, we were in this place called Cappadocia with these fairy chimneys. It's in the desert, like these huge, you've seen these pictures of all the hot air balloons and these like huge fairy chimneys and sandcastle looking things. That's where we were. And I was in there with a bunch of strangers. Okay. And we were in this like hotel. And it was the first time that Turkey had ever made the semifinals of the Euro Cup.
Oh, wow.
And I was literally with 100 strangers I didn't know. And we were watching this game at like 10 or 11 at night. And they got into double overtime and then a shootout. And on the fifth shot, the captain of the Turkish team dove and blocked the shot to win the game.
No way.
And the first time in country's history they'd ever like made it past that level. I have never seen celebration like this in my entire life. All 100 of us, and I joined in too.
Of course.
Everybody, all these guys rips off their shirts, not like take it off, rips their shirts, screaming at the top of their lungs. They're hugging their just strangers. This guy like turns on like this spigot of like red and white wine coming out of this rock for everybody. And then we're running down the street with our shirts, like going like this and like a windmill, and there's guns going off and fireworks going off and these cops and ambulances, everybody's sirens are going. For like an hour and a half.
It's pandemonium.
It was absolute mayhem. And like, I'm just telling this story right now and I feel this like excitement and like rush just thinking about it. It was the most fun, like elated I've ever felt. It was so fun. It was just like this crazy moment. And I want to do that more with my family. I want to do that more with the kids and just like celebrate them.
So give an example, Scott, when we could do that as a family, that we can celebrate where it wouldn't necessarily be a normal time or a normal thing to celebrate. Give us a real life practical example before we close up.
Yeah, we do. We're starting to do these more, but Mark Tim taught us this family fun night. Every Friday, one Friday a month, they have just this crazy celebration, family fun night. And the kids get to bring a friend and they like fill socks full of flour and like play like dodgeball. And they like do all these fun games and have fun food. And it's like this, just a total celebration. No reason, awesome. Just a ton of fun as a family. That's and awesome. I think, celebrating any of the little things, a kid getting a chore right, kid getting their first like gig done in the home, a kid getting they overcame anything as little as it could be. Anytime they overcame something, or maybe they were struggling to listen and then they did listen and follow through, or they were a first-time follower, right? They listened to you the first time. Just go crazy on something like that. Like think about that tonight. Find a time today with your kids to just go crazy and celebrate them.
And whatever we celebrate and we focus on and give attention to, we're going to encourage more of. So we're going to attract more of that. So if you're celebrating that your child did something great, or they listened for the right away and did something awesome, or they took initiative, if you celebrate these things, it's going to happen more often. So I think it's good for all of us as a reminder that until further notice, just celebrate everything. Like make your family a family of enthusiasm, appreciation, and celebration.
Yeah. I remember a couple weeks ago, Sawyer got his dollar from doing a gig. He's 4. He was 4. Now he's 5. He got his dollar and he put the dollar in the share. We have save, spend, share. Now it's going to be in Gravy Stack, right? The app.
Right.
Until now, it's been in the little jars. Put the whole thing in share. I just ran over and like picked him up and I was like, yeah. And like everyone's awesome. Cheering. And he's just awesome. Like beaming from like ear to ear. I don't know, there's a million little opportunities every day that you can get your kids to celebrate. Owen just got glasses. He's 2 years old and he had some struggles with one of the eyes and it was just tough. And so he had to get the glasses. And so for the last 2 weeks, he just got them a couple days ago. So for the last 2 weeks, every time we're doing bedtime stories, I'll find a book that has a character, an animal, or a person with glasses.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm like, look at that guy. He's got these cool glasses. Like, look at this. He's like, they're this color, they're orange and they're yellow or green. And he's like been getting ready to get excited about his glasses. So then when we finally did, he got his glasses in the mail, he pulled them out, and the whole family was right there to like celebrate and clap and cheer.
Interesting.
I filmed it. It was just so fun to celebrate. Now he's like, this is his superpower. These glasses.
Interesting.
You know, like
Yeah, you've changed the way he looks at it because you celebrated.
That's right. That's right. And then one kid, like 3 days later, came over and was like, you know, glasses are dumb. You look stinky. And he immediately goes, no, these are superhero glasses. And he like ran away. And I'm like, boom, that's what happens when you celebrate a kid.
That's awesome.
I just want families to find little ways to celebrate every single day. It's not just going to lift your kids up. It's going to lift you up. So until further notice, celebrate everything. That's what we got for you guys today. And we'll give you a couple minutes back of your day. Thanks for listening.
Virtual high fives. Thanks for listening.
High fives. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Takes more than money if you want to succeed. You gotta know what to do with it. You gotta take the lead. You gotta give them confidence. You gotta make them smart. If your kids are gonna thrive, now's the time to start. Smart money.